Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. They have this idea that they're supposed to be able to do it all. They're supposed to, you know, keep a good home, and they're supposed to have kids and love being at home with their kids and, still maybe have a career. There's no reason you can't have it all. It just doesn't mean you can have it all at the same time. That's where a lot of women get stuck, is this idea that I have to be all these things all the time. And
Mm.
there's no possible way to do that. You can do it all and have it all, but you have to give yourself grace.
Welcome to the Self Care Goddess podcast, where healing stories, practical self care strategies, and science backed tools to regulate stress, feel calm, grounded, and energized come together to help you reclaim your vitality. I'm your host, Rita Savoya, holistic nutritionist, trauma informed breathwork coach, and founder of Breathwork Barista. This podcast is for women who are ready to restore their energy and radiance, reconnect with their bodies, reawaken their inner power, and redefine self care as a way of being. Through science meets soul practices, restorative mind body tools, and real stories of transformation, we'll explore how true well being can help you live with more joy, vibrant health, and authentic connection to yourself and those you love. Take a deep breath in, let it go, and let's begin. Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Self Care Goddess podcast with today's special segment, UpliftHER Leadership Series, where inspiring women share their incredible story. Super excited for our next guest here to come and join us. So hold on, why does it say only 17 seconds? Okay, I'm going to start that. I'm going to do that again. That was weird. Yeah, I'm like, well, okay. Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Self Care Goddess podcast with today's special series segment, UpliftHER Leadership Series, where inspiring women tell their incredible story. Before I introduce our amazing guest today, as you know, on this podcast, we walk the talk. Let's give ourselves these 2 minutes of rest. How do we do that? Just by tuning in to the breath, connecting us with our bodies, getting out of our heads for literally 2 minutes, I promise. So if you can, lowering your gaze and just looking at a fixed point, or maybe even closing your eyes to really tune out what's going on behind you, maybe what you've done before this, or what you're going to be doing after. I invite you to just stay present by following those inhales through the nose, expanding a little deeper than usual, and then exhaling through the mouth with a slight sigh and just helping your body to release any tension, any tightness, any stiffness that you might be experiencing throughout your body, allowing those exhales to flow a little deeper, a little slower than usual, and just helping those areas soften. Inhaling, feeling the expansion of the breath through the belly, the rib cage, and the chest, and then allowing those exhales to help you let go. Let go of any tension, any tightness, any stiffness in your body. As you continue these deep breaths, I now invite you to channel them into the area of the heart. So allowing the inhales and exhales to flow in and out of your heart area. Where tension goes, energy flows. So let's energize this beautiful organ that's keeping you alive without asking for anything in return. Feel the gratitude for it. Send it gratitude and love for doing so much work for you. And in this space of immense gratitude for your heart, I now invite you to visualize someone that you're grateful for today. Visualize this person as if they were right here in front of them. Acknowledge them and send them all the love, the gratitude, and the appreciation. Let it radiate from your heart to their heart. Now I invite you to send that love, that gratitude and appreciation, send it back to you. Expand your heart, energize your heart for being here, taking these few moments to just reset and connect with your body, your breath, your heart, and be present on your next inhale. Flutter your eyes open. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. So today's guest is a woman who is not only leading movements, but creating spaces where other women can rise alongside her. Mary Locker recently named one of Success Magazine's Leaders to Watch. She is a passionate advocate for the advancement of women across North America. As the founder and CEO of UpliftHER, She and her team have supported over 60,000 women and youth worldwide while giving back more than 200,000 in funding and resources to help amplify women's voices and opportunities. Through initiatives like the Revolution Her store, one of a kind retail and online platform featuring products by women for women supporting women, Maria is redefining what empowerment looks like in action. Her work is rooted in community, inclusivity, and a deep commitment to creating meaningful change, not just in business, but in how women show up, support one another, and lead. And beyond the impact and the movement, Maria keeps it real. Her guilty pleasure is chocolate, like many of us, dark chocolate.
Mhm.
And when it comes to her life soundtrack, she's somewhere between Seasons by Bebe Rexha and Dolly Parton, or perhaps still evolving, just like the powerful work she's still doing in the world. So, Maria, welcome so much. I'm so excited for you to be on this podcast. You're amazing. I
Thank
love your energy the first time I met you. So, thank you for taking the time to be here today.
I'm honored to be on here, Rita, and I have to say that's the first time I've had breath work at the beginning of a podcast. That was perfectly grounding. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Thank you. Thank you. So you're doing so much and you have plans to do even more. So tell us a little bit more about your personal journey. What has influenced the mission that you're on today?
My so I have been at this is 16 years this year since I first started the company. So it's been around for a while. And my whole mission has always been about really helping women get to the root of why they do what they do. You know, when I first started the company, it was focused on mom entrepreneurs. And really, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. Work life and family life was never separate for me. But as I got older and I had my own kids and my own business and was meeting other women who were also entrepreneurs, I found that a lot of women tried to separate themselves from right now I'm in mom mode. Right now I'm a business owner today, but tomorrow I'm at my kid's school. And it always confused me. It just didn't make sense to me because I always saw the two enmeshed together. And so my whole focus has always been, how as women, when we're wearing so many hats, how can we actually still be true to ourselves? And why are we hiding parts of ourselves away based on the roles that we're playing in a particular moment? And that's really come full circle with Revolution Her. I love what I get to do. When women come into our store or they email us, they shop online, they're looking for things that are different and they're looking for a way to connect more deeply with what they're purchasing. And I love that we get to be that avenue for them.
Yes, and what are some plans for Revolution Her? Can you give us a sneak peek of what's in
So with Revolution Her, we have our flagship store right now in Burlington, Ontario. We feature over 120 different women-led Canadian brands. We're really proud to feature all of them. Our goal is to continue growing. We have our online presence so you can shop anywhere in the world. But the ultimate goal is to continue growing into different pop-up areas around the country. Couple projects on the sidelines that are a bit bigger that I'm going to put out there. I'm hoping in the next 2 years you'll get an update on. But those are bigger projects that are taking some time to see through, but they're very exciting for us. So, and when I say us, I want to give a shout out to my business partner, Grace Moores. I know right now I'm solo on this podcast, but we do everything together. She really is my right-hand man. We have some amazing work that we get to do with women entrepreneurs and while also supporting women in the community.
So tell us a little bit the process. So can anyone apply? Like how do you vet in terms of products and what you want to have in your store? Because I saw it when it was in Bonn. I
Mhm.
actually went in, and it's so beautiful. And then I came to your event as well. Beautiful event in Burlington.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful community you've created for sure, you and your team.
Thank you. Yeah, you know what? I think because we've been around for so long, a lot of the brands that we started out with were just the women that I grew to know and love their companies over the years. When the idea for a store came into concept, it was after COVID. We had our first event back since COVID, and everything was still really new and different. And so the concept for the store was how can we still inspire other women, help share the stories of the women that we know and love. Every woman has an incredible story behind her, whether they have a business or not. Everyone's got something to share. Grace and I have always been really passionate about We have a podcast, we have a magazine. We want to share real stories of women who are making an impact in the world in some way. And so the store concept was really events are weird. COVID kind of threw everything for a loop. How can we do something that's more intentional? And it really was a test. It was a pop up test. And we're going on 3.5 years now. Our customer base is growing by the tens of thousands every year. And people really are resonating with the fact that they can come in or shop online and make a connection. When you think about being a shopper, you don't necessarily always think about, who's behind this brand, where are the ingredients from, why did they create this product, how is it going to affect my life? And we're really trying to bring some of that back for the women in our lives. So everything you see in our store, like our tagline is by women, for women, supporting women. I'm really careful with what we choose. I try everything. So if you do come in our store and I start talking to you about stuff, it's because I literally tried everything in that store. Grace and I both are pretty nerdy when it comes to sharing what we know. We're so passionate about it. Anyone can apply in terms of having a business that is women led. So it could be a husband and wife team. It could be a woman on her own. And the goal is really to find products that are going to make an impact. So, I think all of our skincare and beauty items, they're all natural products. If I wouldn't put them on my own skin or use them with my own family, then I don't really necessarily want to have them on our shelves. So the vetting process is really like, are people asking for it? Do we need it in the shop? And is it something you can find everywhere? Or is there a story behind it that's going to make it unique? And that's usually what we look for.
Beautiful. And then you have shout out to Joy. You have all of her products too. So
Yes.
she's the one that invited me to that event that I met. So yeah, it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. And I love it. Is that what the podcast is about? Just telling the stories of the products?
Well,
Okay.
the products and the women.
Yeah.
So, we're on a pause right now because I don't think either of us really anticipated how much retail would actually take up our time. Even though I come from retail background, it's definitely been an eye opener. So the podcast we are going to be bringing back. But yeah, the stories on the podcast are everything from, building a business, how do you start out, to menopause, what does that look like for women, to, self-care rituals. Oh my gosh, everything in between. It's whatever, women could use a little bit of insight on. And
Beautiful.
then we do talk about the products too.
The story behind it, which is awesome. And that's the
Yeah.
the reason why started this podcast 6 years ago now. So
Good for
yeah.
you.
Knowing friend Maria, then in the back of a taxi, I'll be like "Rah, rah, rah," asking questions to the taxi driver. Like I'm just so curious. Everyone's got such an incredible story. And we have 45 minutes to kill. So I'm gonna be talking, right?
I love that.
Ubers came out. I'm like, oh my gosh, why are you driving an Uber? So we like, and they're just
Yeah.
so but like just everyone has a beautiful, beautiful story. And so, but all kidding
Agreed.
really helped my mom through her healing journey too, to be listening to other women and going through what they were going through. And that's what really
Yeah.
sparked I gotta do this. And it's something that I can see myself doing forever. So, yeah, I really enjoy it. So hopefully you'll get back on it too and share.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about a challenging moment that you overcame. And I love these because we get to learn from you, right? And somebody's going through something very similar or somewhat similar that can really relate. And
Yeah.
so yeah.
I'll preface with saying every good year of life, I was going to say business, but really it's life. Every good year has had a challenge without a doubt. I feel like, a lot of times we think it's just this linear path and nothing's, we're just from A to B, things work out smoothly. And that really, as I've found, hasn't been the case for most people. And it certainly hasn't been for me. I would say probably my biggest challenge, started in 2015. I was really not feeling my best consistently for about 8 months. We had just landed a huge deal with Coca-Cola Canada. I also have a nonprofit corporation. And so we were selected as one of the only organizations in Canada to help with a program called 5 by 20, supporting 5 million women entrepreneurs around the world by 2020. And so we were tasked with really supporting Canadian women entrepreneurs. It was a huge, huge program initiative. And right around the time when it started, I just didn't feel good and I couldn't figure it out why. And so it took about 8 months of going to different doctors and everything. And by March of 2016, was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and thyroid cancer within 2 weeks of each other. Completely separate cancers that kind of threw me for a loop. And at the time, my kids were, I think they were in grades 2 and 4. So they were pretty small. And this big project was happening. And so it just felt like everything was like, what is happening? Everything was falling apart. What I learned through that challenge, it took about 3 years to get through all the treatments and one after the other after the other. So really right up until 2019, I was still in treatments and everything. And what I learned was having a team and a support system around you can literally make or break whatever it is that you're going through. So I think a lot of women that I see in the community, they almost like they're like this Joan of Arc figure where they'll do everything that they need to do and they don't ask for help and they'll just push through what they're feeling. And I learned the hard way that it doesn't serve you in the end. You do need to have support around you. When things fall apart, you need someone to help pick up the pieces. There was no way, we would have lost that entire program if I didn't have the team that I had. On top of that, I had family and friends, dropping off food and checking on the kids. And so it really did take a whole community. I do get very emotional. It's been a while, actually. I should have
Yeah,
warned you about that. Sorry.
that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. I had a very similar conversation yesterday and I got emotional. I'll be crying on my podcast. But yeah,
I'll do it for you. But no, it's
a virtual hug, virtual hug. Love
thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing that. Why do
Yeah.
you think it's so hard for us to ask for help? Because I hear you. I echo those words. And I think every other podcast, I actually say that I know so many women that are just like self martyrs. And I understand we've learned this from our moms and they've learned it from theirs. And it's just
Yeah.
this societal norm for the mom to be the super mom, right? But in your opinion, why is it so hard to ask for help? Are we perfectionists as well? Is there that
Yes.
side of us?
Yes, that was gonna be my first thing, like, really. And, one of my quotes that I love that I have a giant poster of in our house is that life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. Now that I started, it's like a faucet, just so you know. But I think a lot of women they have this idea that they're supposed to be able to do it all. They're supposed to, you know, keep a good home and they're supposed to have kids and love being at home with their kids and, still maybe have a career. I always say, like, there's no reason you can't have it all. It just doesn't mean you can have it all at the same time. And, I think sometimes that's where a lot of women get stuck is this idea that I have to be all these things all the time. And there's no possible way to do that. You can do it all and have it all, but you have to give yourself grace. There's going to be different seasons of being on as a mom or being a full-fledged entrepreneur and not having to worry about the kids. And that's kind of where I've found my happy medium is there's these different seasons of flow. And I think a lot of women just try to kind of push through and be all things to everybody all the time. And it's a cause for burnout.
Gosh, so that is so beautiful, beautifully said, which leads me very nicely to my my two other questions. One, in terms of burnout, have you experienced it, and what are some signs we should be watching for? Because the thing with burnout, we don't know that we're burnt out until we're burnt out.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay, I'm burnt out. But there are signs happen way before to kind of our body's so beautiful, so like such a beautiful um, gives you signs and symptoms that something is off and we ignore it and we kind of
Yes.
push through as you mentioned. So what were your signs and symptoms that you can share with us?
So definitely, I've been burnt out several times. I think the biggest sign for me was just exhaustion. No amount of sleep really getting me to a point where I was waking up feeling refreshed and revived. And I'm a pretty positive, kind of optimistic person. Like ever since I was little, I'm always the one giggling and laughing and smiling. Like I love life. And I think that was my first warning sign was waking up and being like, oh, just like, what am I doing today? Like not being excited. And when your excitement and like your natural curiosity seems to be missing, I think that's a pretty big sign that you're just kind of going through your life on autopilot. And a that's the best reason to stop and just take a minute and reflect and take some downtime. So for me, when I have experienced burnout, that's usually the first sign is that exhaustion and not really being as excited as I normally am. And when I find that I'm in that zone, I disconnect completely. You won't see me at events. I'll take some time away from the store. I'm not on my phone or my laptop. Like I put an automated, hey guys, I'm away from my computer, which almost never happens, but it's happened once or twice. And I just try to reconnect with who I am as a person. And that's like, maybe I'm reading a book and I'm taking my time drinking my matcha latte and I'm going outside and sitting on the couch and nobody needs me for anything. That's how I find is the best way for me to kind of come out of that. And I love walking. I love being in nature. So that's a big piece for me, just kind of reconnecting that way. Usually takes me a few days. Sometimes it takes me a bit longer, but if you can notice it and kind of catch those patterns ahead of time before you really crash out, it's it can be fixable, I think.
Can be avoided as well,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you don't have to go, you have to fully get into the burnout. And it kind of reminds me, as you were talking about the different, like just kind of going within the menstrual cycle, cycling, right? So kind
Mm,
of with the different seasons of the menstrual cycle. And if we kind of do that, whether we're menstruating or not, we kind of maybe we can follow the moon if we're not menstruating, but we kind of catch it early so that usually the week of menstruation is that week where we
yeah.
go and we're reset, don't really do any social stuff because I took a course once and they said it's more like your Celine Dion, right? And then ovulation and the follicular is kind of more like your Beyonce, like you're out there, your
Okay.
social events, right?
That makes sense. I like
Right?
that.
And I'm thinking
Yeah.
like exactly what you said, like maybe if we get into a pattern of actually doing that every single 1 week out of the month, that we really reset to go within, don't over schedule things like most women, most of us do, then we kind of get into this pattern where we are giving that time, that opportunity to recharge, right? We're literally unplugging. And honestly, like this was my mom's, and it's so funny. This was my mom's remedy to anything. Just unplug it, plug it back in. But we never do that.
It's
And it's true.
true.
Like, you call your telecommunications company, they're like, can you try unplugging the modem? I'm like, really? Of course I did that, you know? Like even they say that, these professionals. That's something that we should really take into consideration is are we
Yeah.
taking time to unplug and reset? And it's funny because I asked this question to all of my guests, and the number one answer is nature walks.
Mm.
So it's interesting how you're saying that too. They're so therapeutic. And we have
It's
so many beautiful trails, especially in Milton, by the way. You guys have like
yes.
trails. Yeah.
Well, and you know what I find even being near water, like there's something to be said about the blue zone and how it actually just calms you. So there's times where I might take a drive and just go sit and look at the lake in Oakville and or Burlington. And it really does like I don't want to start crying again, but after I kind of finished all my treatments, one of the biggest thing I noticed was birds chirping again. Like I had missed so much of nature. And anyone I talked to as well, like, getting movement in itself is so good for your mental health and so good for getting out of any kind of funk you're in. I'm fortunate and I'm very privileged to be able to just pop outside and I've got a trail literally right behind my house and I can just be all of a sudden in a forest. I'm not anywhere in suburbia, but a lot of people don't have that. So if you can find a way to, carve out a space that feels uniquely calming for you, whether it's at home or out in nature, I really do think it's such a simple, beautiful pleasure that we have in life.
That's so true. And you don't have to go into a forest. I mean, preferably for sure, but even just around your block, like just get out for
Exactly.
a walk, right? And I also, because I'm a nutritionist too, so sometimes it comes through, sometimes all the time. But, yeah, after meals, that is, like, the best thing you could do
Yeah.
it after so you're using up that blood sugar, and, Italians, we have the passeggiata, right? Which,
Yes.
that walk after a meal,
Yeah.
so kind of following what our ancestors used to do as well that worked for them, so I'm sure it works for us.
Exactly.
Maria, in terms of when you were going through your treatments, you mentioned a few things that really helped you get through it. Community, family, of course, these nature walks. What are some other things that were there for you and you can attribute to helping you get through it? Because it's definitely obviously tough.
It was it was a crazy time. It's actually 10 years. I'm coming up to 10 years, which is just bizarre to me. I think letting go of perfectionism was a big thing for me. So up until that point, up until kind of getting diagnosed, the dishwasher had to be done a certain way, and, dinner had to be at a certain time, and if the kids had to be dropped off a certain way, or everything was done as a team with my husband and I. And same with at work, like everything, I always had a team, but it was always my way. And it was a bit of a wake up call. I wouldn't say I'm super controlling, but I certainly like things done a certain way. And I love my mother. I know exactly where I get it from because my mom is exactly the same. So I think that was probably one of the best things that could have come out of everything that I experienced, was realizing even if it's not done my way, it's not done perfectly, it's still being done. And everyone has a different way of doing things. It doesn't make my way right versus their way being wrong. So that was like a very humbling experience, because I would literally sit on the couch and just see how things were being done. I was like, oh my gosh, there's nothing I can do about it. It was fascinating for me. And I think a lot of the end reflection, the post reflection, was just like, I'm so thankful and grateful just to have my life. Like, the little things really roll off my back now. I don't have time for little things like the dishwasher, like, hey, it's clean, perfect, done. So, I think a lot of times, for me, I went to university. I went from university to teacher's college. From teacher's college, I got married. I had kids right away. I was a teacher. I was a kindergarten teacher for about 3 years. But once I had my kids back to back, that's when I got into building my own company. So it's kind of this, I know I said it's not linear, but for me, it was kind of this linear thing that went up and down, up and down. And you think in your head, you're supposed to kind of fulfill this role as a new wife, a new mom, a younger daughter, like whatever it's supposed to be. You have these preconceived notions of how you're supposed to behave and what you're supposed to do and how things are supposed to end up. And that really just went out the window when I got sick. And I realized I'm only putting these things on myself. Nobody else was expecting those things from me. It was just me. So I think that was probably one of the biggest takeaways for me. And my learning experiences was just let it slide, like easy flow. That's where I'm at now.
Done is better than perfect for sure. And it
Yes.
just brings me back to a job that I had between high school and university. And I remember the woman telling me, she was awesome. She's like, Rita, when you get married, just make sure whatever the way he does it, I know you're not going to like it, but do it and just do it, because then it's going to be very hard to train him after to help you. No, no, it's okay. Got it. I got it. And I see this all the time too. So
Yeah.
this perfectionism, yeah, I want to like dig a little deeper where we get that and how we can break that, and let's not wait till something really drastic or
Yeah.
happens for us to get that wake up call, right? So what do you do differently now? I know you sort of stop and watch the birds, which I've been doing as well. Like that. I usually go for my walks and I have my phone, I'm doing a bit of work and I'm sending messages. And then these last few weeks have been because the birds are out, right?
They're back. Yeah.
Back out. I'm like, I'm just gonna start listening to some birds and seeing what's going on there. I come back so recharged. It's like unbelievable. So what are some things that are helping you or that you're doing now that you wouldn't even think about doing before the treatments and the diagnoses?
I think what I'm doing now, actually, even regardless of getting sick, what I'm doing now is I feel like I'm actually paying attention to my body more. I feel
Mm,
like my kids are at an age where they don't need me as much, right? They can make their own food, they can drive a car, I'm not needed as much in that same type of mom role. I've watched my husband over the last couple of years really refocus on his own health journey. And so I feel like I finally figured it out. I have diverticulitis. I've always had gut health issues. My whole family does, like literally all my Zias, like all of us. We love our pasta and we love our bread, and my family has a bakery. So literally I'm like surrounded by stuff that wants to destroy me. So I think this is what I've found the last year, specifically this year. I've started to really focus on, okay, listening to what my body needs. I'm going to bed earlier. I don't feel embarrassed if it's 9:30 and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go read a chapter of my book and I'm going to bed. Good night. I love you all. Like, I can't digest dairy very well at all. So I'm very good now at like not feeling like I'm missing out. I'm really just choosing stuff that I know I'm going to feel good 2, 3 days down the road. And I'm moving more. Like I'm moving more. I'm eating healthier. I've always been a healthy eater, but because of the diverticulitis and in particular being at our retail store, I would just not eat because I would be afraid to have like a reaction to something and then be stuck at the store and leaving someone on the floor. So I would have like a protein smoothie in the morning and then I wouldn't eat till like 5 p.m. and my body was just angry all the time. So I've really started to figure that out and I'm very thankful for that. So that's been one thing. And it when you're eating well and you're a nutritionist, right? When you're eating well and you feel like everything's kind of aligned, everything else in your life is so much easier if you're not worried about food and how your stomach's going to feel. Oh my gosh, what a
Right.
difference.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. And I'm with you on that joy of missing out,
Yeah.
Yes, because before I was like you too. I'm like, oh, 9 o'clock, 9:30. That's like, you still have 3 more hours of the night
Yeah.
that but now I actually enjoy it because I love the way I feel when I wake up
Yeah.
after a really good night's sleep, right? And honestly, I think women, we need more hours of sleep than, I mean, it's not we men and women need, but I feel like men can stay up and will have less hours of sleep, and you do
Yeah.
feel like you're missing out. But now I'm like, I think there's a joy in missing
Yeah.
out.
I'm a better person for it. Like I'm a nicer, happier, like I love waking up in the morning. I don't set alarms. Like when the sun comes in through my window, that's how I wake up. And I take my thyroid medication every morning, pretty much the same time. It's like clockwork now. And if I mess up the night before and I've binged like The Pit or, or like binge watching TV, I'm happy
Yeah.
in the moment, but I know the next morning
Yes.
I'm going to be
Yes.
tired and cranky. And by
Yes.
2 p.m. I'm a mess. So it does. I like that. There's a joy in it's because you're choosing what you're missing out on. I'm
Right.
choosing to miss out on a beautiful cannoli that my sister made because I can't have the cheese. And so, I'll opt for something else. Like you do when you have the choice to make that decision. I think that's where the joy comes in because you're in control. Oh, maybe I do have control issues, but
But
that's
yeah,
what I think.
I get you. I get you. That's so true. Like it's always about choice, right? And that's why
Yeah.
most of us, or people that feel stuck, is because they feel like there aren't any choices. But
Yeah.
really, in reality, if you look hard, there are. There always are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I
in
agree.
terms of work-life balance, tell me a little bit more. How did you do it? Is there even such a thing? Does it even exist? You touched upon it a little bit, the different seasons, but how did you do it with your business and the kids?
When they were small, it was hard. So first of all, we talk about work-life balance all the time. I really don't think such a thing exists. I think it's more of a work-life flow because when you think of a balance, you're thinking, okay, this is me as an entrepreneur and this is me as a mom. But the thing is, I'm also like, where's the half of me as a wife and a half of me as a daughter? And just me as a person. There is no, how are you balancing all those things? Really unrealistic in my mind. And so I feel like it's a work life flow. There's times where, and I guess it's the same with the season mentality, there's times where you are more of one part of you at a particular time. So right now, I'm not thinking about my kids. My husband's at work. I just saw my mom and dad and my brothers and my sister, actually. I was just at the bakery and visited them all. So I think it ends up being where you have this flow right now. I am fully invested to speak with you and I've got my entrepreneur hat on and like just me as a person, we're just having a conversation, right? So none of those other parts are necessarily vying for my time. So there's no balance needed right now. And I think that's pretty much how I view everything as a flow. When I'm done my conversation with you, I'm heading to pick up my daughter from school physio appointments and then I'm in mom mode and then later on I'll be in work mode because I have to get online and I have to answer emails. So for me it's just I love that I have the flexibility to pick and choose who I am at a particular time and what version of me. It's all me. It's not who I am. It's all versions of me, but where I need to spend my most focus, I'm able to kind of move that in and out And there's times where anybody will say, like, when you have a sick child at home, all of a sudden that becomes the biggest level, right? So you can't always have balance. It's a really, really, whether you're a woman or a man or anyone in between, like, it's just a really unrealistic expectation for anyone to feel like they have to have some kind of balance. I don't think it exists personally.
I love this. Mic drop. For sure. Thank you for sharing that because it
Yeah.
reminds me of my previous career before the wellness was in human resources. And one of
Okay.
the competencies during the interviews was please demonstrate a time when you were multitasking, right? Like we were literally hiring people because of their ability to multitask. And then, years later, we find out that the brain, there's no way that it can multitask, that
Right.
you're fragmenting and you're becoming less productive if you have to focus on so many things.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, because that's what my screen looks like, there's like 1,000 windows that are open. Guess what happens? Like you got that little ball going because it just like it starts slowing down.
Yeah.
And we humans are exactly the same. So what you decided to do was, hey, you know what? I'm going to focus on one task or one role that I'm
Yeah.
in now, focus on that and not feel guilty as well that you can't be the other role because there'll
Yeah.
be time to prioritize that other role. So it kind of reminded me like bringing that like multitasking question. I
Yeah.
hope they won't ask that still. Like
I hope they don't ask that anymore.
I
And,
haven't
like,
faced recruitment for a while.
well, it makes, like, I'm saying this from a place now, like, 16 years later. So you said, how was it when the kids were little? It was a much slower, like, the business in the last 4 years has grown exponentially compared to the first 11 years because I was in a different season. My kids were younger. I went through health issues. I always say, like, can you imagine where things could be right now if I just was fully 100% focused on the growth of the business? That's not who I am, though. And so I'm perfectly happy with where I'm at now. I see other businesses that have been around the same time and are just like, so many more followers on Instagram and all this. And there's times where, yeah, you might want to sit and compare, but I wanted to be able to look back and think, do my kids remember me as a mom that was invested and I was there and I went on the school trips and that's what I wanted. I'm not suggesting everybody has to do that, but that's what I actually wanted. Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a teacher and I wanted to be a mom. Those were the two things. For me, it was really important to have that presence, and at the same time, they saw me on the phone for work. My daughter saw me in meetings, and she would be coloring beside me while I was having a meeting, and I'd be like, "Shh, can you color?" They've seen me grow the business. They've seen what I saw when I was little, and I saw my parents grow their company, and so to me, that was I'm gonna get emotional again. To me, that was really important. And everyone's got a different way of doing things. But I think the balancing part or just that flow part, depending on what you want, it's never going to be easy. There are things I missed, both in business and in life. There are, places I wanted to be at the same time that you just can't be. So you have to be okay with it. And if you're choosing to put guilt on yourself for missing one thing or another, you're going to only end up resenting whatever part of your life you feel like you've missed out on. So the best advice I could ever give is just to try and find that flow so you're not feeling like it's all one-sided.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. I love that work life flow.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of a meme here, taking out the word balance, like striking it out and just putting flow. Yeah, I like
Just
that.
the visual alone, right? It just all kind of just works together.
Yeah, and it also goes hand in hand with like letting go of that perfectionism or that control, because when you're flowing, for me,
Yeah,
that's to show flexibility to flow as well, right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So the next question, Maria, is actually a question that I had no idea I was going to be asking on this podcast, but it just keeps coming up. It's so crazy. And yesterday, I wasn't even on my list to ask, and then it comes up. I'm like, okay, fine. It wants to make its way. And it's really about feminine and masculine energy and being an entrepreneur, being a high performing woman, doing all of these incredible things like that you've done so far. Has that ever come across in terms of were you embodying more of a masculine energy or maybe feminine, or now you've kind of learned or switched? Is that something that resonates with you? It doesn't have to, but just interesting to hear what the other women have been saying, and also looked
Yeah.
what you said.
I feel like I grew up seeing both of my parents, my mom and my dad, being not aggressive, that's the wrong word, but being assertive in business. So I don't know whether that's so much a masculine trait. For me, it feels very much I am a very emotional person. I actually get it from my dad. Everyone will always say, like, oh my gosh, I think they automatically think it's my mom. It's my dad. My dad is extremely emotional. Like, he cries at movies and
And you know what I do as well? I actually make fun of it. I'm like to my nieces, you guys want to watch No No Cry? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, watch. I'll watch.
yeah,
I'll make them cry. So I'll say something like, and right away it starts crying.
yes. Yeah, and we're the same, and, like, my kids do it with me. They know, like, a commercial will come on, and they'll just look at me like so when I first started was so when I first started the company, I think it was about 2 years in, I started hosting these big conferences, like 3, 4, 500 women, and I remember the first conference being like, we had all these sponsors, insurance companies and stuff like that, and so they would always bring their men out to these conferences for women. And so I always felt like I had to put this, like strong front on. And I remember the very first conference I went to go and say like the opening speech or whatever. And I just could not stop crying. It was so much work to get it done. I was exhausted. My mom was in the audience and she had gotten together my Zias and they were all on this table. And I was like, okay, like it was just. So from then on, there's actually a running bet when I host an event to see how long it's going to take me to cry. Literally, sometimes it's like 2 seconds in and I'm done. And so I learned very early on that this is just authentically who I am. Like I'm very much an empath. I feel big feelings. And so I usually will apologize it, but then I get to a point where it's like, well, this is just who I am. And so, I had gone to different events where I saw like Ariana Huffington and I saw Martha Stewart and I saw like just these seemingly really powerful women. And when people would ask questions in the audience about their family or like their life outside of business, it's like they shut down and they became this very like, why are you asking me about this? And I realized this is authentically who I am. Like I'm messy and I'm emotional. And so there was no point in me trying to hide that at a conference just because I'm the one hosting it. Like I've shown my vulnerability over and over again. And we've grown the community in spite of it. So I'd like to think people know, it comes from an authentic place. I cannot turn it off once it starts.
Yeah.
It's just, this video is going to be proof of like, it doesn't matter. And I moved my spot. So my tissues are over there. So I'm just a disaster. But yeah, I've learned, I think the softness that women bring to leadership, and I mean softness in the best possible way, heart and caring. I think it's actually what we're missing in the
Yeah,
world.
exactly. 100% for sure. Because we've been so like that implementing that I wouldn't call it, what did you call it? Assertiveness, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes it can get aggressive too, right? Because I remember
Right.
I was in Dubai, I actually did some HR consulting in Dubai, and I was dressing like a man. I wasn't really dressing in these girly dresses because
Yeah.
I felt like I wanted to be taken seriously. And some women feel like they need to be, TCH to be taken seriously. And it's not
Yeah.
even them authentically, really. And to be wearing a mask, Maria, oh, when it's not really
It's
you,
exhausting. Yeah.
it's tough. That is like stressful, exhausting. So I really do hope that. Do you think it's changing, by the way? Do you think like the younger
I
generation?
do. I
Hmm,
really, really do. Because I feel like I've been around forever doing this kind of work. And just going to so many events, one of the best speakers I've ever seen is Arlene Dickinson. She will tell you exactly how it is. And she's assertive with having her. I do think it's changing because women are seeing more and more people that aren't just trying to steamroll and be assertive for no reason. They're actually doing the work. I have to go get tissue. I can't. Okay, hang on 1 second. Thank you. I'm sorry. I had to do
that's
that.
right. No, it's okay. That's fine.
But I do very much think it's changing and in the best way. I think, we're seeing more and more leaders who are women and even men who are more emotionally connected with the messaging that they're putting out there. They are invested in how it actually affects the people that they're speaking to. I know we're not seeing that all the time, specifically in some other countries. And it's really hard. It makes you start to think, is everyone like this? Like, is everyone completely detached from like what society lives in my head? Like, I feel like society around me is a very kind and patient society, better humanity for all. And then there are times where you don't see that reflected. And I personally don't watch the news. I don't subject myself to the negativity that is out there. And, if you look on my Instagram feed, it's all amazing affirmations from women, strong women. That's who I choose to follow because I want to see that what I'm hoping to put out in the world, people are doing that as well.
Yeah, same. I'm the same way. When people
Yeah.
are like, Did you hear the news?" I'm like, "No, what is it?" And
Please don't
actually,
tell me.
I know. In terms of when it comes secondhand, like studies show that your nervous system doesn't get as activated as if you were watching that live. So that's I'm kind of getting
That's
it's like,
good.
yeah, right? If I really
Yeah.
even need to know it. But then again, like people would just shame you too, right? They're just like, "What do you mean you don't watch the news? Like you're in business, you have your own business and you're not watching the news." I'm like, No, I'm not."
No.
Because it's all negative. You're right. It's just the worst is like that music that comes on. I'm like, come on, just like
Yeah.
really. And you're
It's like
right.
the end of days. Oh,
Yes. So the worst thing you can do is actually watch the 6 o'clock news and eat. Like that is the worst thing, right? And how many people are doing that? Yeah, because then your nervous system, especially the sympathetic nervous system, will get activated. And when that gets activated, guess what's going to not work as effective is the parasympathetic system, which is your rest and digest. And if you think about it, like, so your brain just wants to keep you alive, right?
mhm.
So it will not discriminate between what you're thinking, right? It'll not say, well, that's not good around dinner time because then your digestion and system is not going to kick off. It just wants to keep you alive. So
Wow.
what it's going to do is, and another thing too, Maria, when you're watching the news, your brain cannot tell the difference between real and perceived. So it
Right.
actually thinks you're going into war in Lebanon or wherever it is, and so your body is going to actually release those cascade of hormones that it needs to fight off that proverbial tiger or
Yeah.
whatever that stress. So the cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and guess what that needs? Bunch of nutrients that you would otherwise be using to help digest your food. So it's a
Right.
mess. It's like, I'm a bit of a science geek. I was like, okay, why is this like this? And then I got into it.
That's
I'm like, "Oh,
fascinating.
it's crazy. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what most of us are doing. And that's why one of the blue zones, funny you mentioned in Greece, Greece, they actually ask you, who are you having dinner with? Like, who are you eating with instead of
Mm.
what you're eating? It's so important to surround yourself with like amazing people, regardless. But while
Yeah.
you eat, like, yeah, so you can actually properly digest that food, right?
That's
Yeah.
fascinating. See,
Yes.
so now I can tell I tell
Yes.
like my whole family knows like I don't watch the news. And so now I can tell them, see, Rita said
There's
it's okay. It's actually better for me.
science behind it. Yes,
Yeah.
like real hard science behind why it's not a good idea to do so. So tell me a little bit more about this younger generation. And I think you mentioned you have a daughter?
I have a daughter and a son. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So what advice would you give the younger generation when it comes to resilience, especially in these uncertain times that, maybe you could have had back then?
Oh, we were actually just talking about this not long ago because um as my daughter put it, the world's falling apart. Like everything's a mess. She's going to be 18, my son's going to be 20. One of the things I said to her was, I look back and when I had my two kids, it was shortly after 9/11. It felt the same that there was the same kind of heaviness in the world where it just felt like, what is everybody doing? How have we not learned from past experiences? And I said to her, and my son was there, I just said, the one thing your dad and I said to each other was, we both wanted to make sure we wanted kids. We wanted to be parents. And the one thing we said was, "Look, we're good people fundamentally. We're kind, we help others. If we can put more of that kindness into the world, then it can't be a bad thing. Whatever else is going to happen is going to happen. You can change parts of the world around you. You can change parts of the bigger world in your community. You can continue to change however much you're willing to put out there. When you're constantly focusing on how things are changing for the worse, doesn't allow you to remember as much the things that are actually really good. I tried to explain to both my kids. And one thing I would say to the younger generation is, it's always going to feel like something's going wrong. It's always going to feel like the world's on the verge of just disaster. If you can put more good into the world to counterbalance that, that's where you want work-life balance. If you can have kind and evil balance, like keep getting this kindness up and lower the awful stuff. I think we owe it to ourselves, to keep putting that goodness out there. The only other thing I would say too is that piece of perfectionism. It's really perfectionism and comparison. They're in an age where everything is online, everything is social media. They see what their friends are doing. They're
I
kept out
don't
of
envy at all. Like, I would never go to my 20s. No way. In this age, no way. No.
it's like, and you see it in real time. It's heartbreaking sometimes. And so, I want the younger generation to know like just how important they are and how much good they can bring into this world. Their fresh eyes and new ideas and their curiosity. So I try to help my kids kind of see like comparing yourself is not going to help. Just remember what you're good at. Remember what you're amazing at. You make people smile when you enter a room. There's things that are intangible that make a huge impact.
Yeah. And then all with like the editing people have on their phones, it's just like, yeah, it's crazy. It's not even
It's
true.
a
It's
lot.
authentic, right? Which used to be
Yeah.
our magazines, right? When we used to flip magazines, it's like a
Yeah.
flawless skin, but now we know that it was purely edited. And here we are comparing ourselves, right? But
Yeah.
I what you said about that collective energy, and there again, I'm gonna get geeky on you. It's proven, like it really is. The Heart Math Institute, which is the little, I did like my own little variation of it, but the coherence technique that we did in the beginning of the podcast, they actually so they've been doing research on the heart, and there are more over 30 years. There are more actual signals going from the heart to the brain than vice versa. So we have like a brain in our heart. So when we think we're making these logical, rational decisions, at the end of the day, it was here. So the more you can connect with your heart, and you can do this like little quick technique, you can even teach your kids, just literally, you can even do physically, like touching your heart, connecting with
Mhm.
your heart, and you're doing that heart, mind, body coherence. And
I
so
love
what
that.
they do is I think it's once a quarter, they get together. Like I've participated a couple of times where we actually start breathing together, and they can measure because we all have the heart math. They can
Mm.
measure coherence like across the world and the energy, and it's just so beautiful. And quantum physics is proving all of this. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I'm with you. Like the more you can, those are the little things that you're in control of because you're not
Yeah.
in control on what they're going to do, but those daily things that you can control, which is, uplifting your energy and making sure that you are okay, then that ripples. That definitely has a ripple effect for sure. So
Agreed. See?
yeah.
You're
Yeah.
teaching me so much today. I love it.
Then I'm validating. You can actually go back to your kids and be like, listen, I talked to this breathwork expert and, she said this, she said that. Like, I'm validating what you've already told your
Thank you.
kids, which is,
Thank
yeah.
you. See? I'm not just like all woo. They think,
No, you're not just making it up. No,
okay, good.
I can back you up, sister, for sure.
Thank you.
And that's why I also have Positive News. I think it's a beautiful Instagram account, Positive News. It's so beautiful. Like all these beautiful things that happen. Do you
I love watching those kind of
positivity
accounts.
or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the one I follow. There's a couple I follow, but I love those accounts where
Yes. And
it's
I'm just like,
just a piece of good news. That's the kind of news
yeah.
I like to watch. Yes.
Me too. I'm like, oh wow, they're like restoring some of the Amazon in Africa. I have never, not Africa. I'm sorry, Brazil. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
I've never heard that. I'm always hearing that the soya seeds and the oil and all of that, the
Yeah.
palm oil, were destroying the forests and the jungle. And I'm like, it's actually rebuilding. That's amazing. Like all these beautiful
There's
little,
good things happening. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So, what's one rule that you joyfully broken to get to where you are today? Maybe there are.
I'm like this weird juxtaposition of following rules and also part of me is I'm my father's daughter and rules don't apply to me. So I'm this we're Southern Calabres. We're like I'm testadura, which is like super hard-headed. So there's times where I'm like, "Oh, you have to follow the rules." And then like I said, sometimes it's just like that and that is not meant for me. I think when have I broken the rules? I have done a couple things over my life, more when I was younger, but like Nobody had lived away for university when I did. Like all the girls were still like, my parents came, well, my dad came when he was younger and still kind of had that old fashioned Italian mentality. And so I was the first of all my cousins, all the girls, to live away for university. My parents were not happy about that, but I had saved money and that's what I was going to do. I went skydiving. I don't know if that helped me. I wouldn't do it now because that was crazy. Now I have like, there's people relying on me now, but back then, it was a really fun experience. And I think that just really taught me, I have this like, I've always wanted to drive a race car. I had a radio station. Like I'm a very curious person. When I see something that interests me, I'm like, oh, I want to try that. Like, why wouldn't I try that? I'll just do it. So for me, the rules aren't so much like big rules that I've broken. It's more just testing my own boundaries of keeping myself curious. I generally have curiosity about something. I don't like being told that I can't do it. And so that's probably the worst thing you can do is tell me I can't do something.
Then you
I am I'm competitive and I will do everything in my power to prove you wrong. Even if I don't do it perfectly or right, I'll still be able to say I did it. And I can be pretty relentless. So yeah, I haven't broken any big rules, I wouldn't say. I don't think. I don't think so.
What is your sign, Maria? Because we would totally be friends if we live closer. Because what's your birth sign?
I'm a
You're asking
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Okay, so October, November,
End of like middle November, yeah.
middle of November. Okay, because I'm Aquarius, so I don't know. You're sounding so much like me. I know.
I don't know many Aquarius.
Really? Yeah, like spirited and just like I jumped out of a plane twice because the first
Twice.
time, yes, because the first time, you're pushed because I was the very first one to like jump off the plane, and I was just, you hold on to the plane like this, like I'm just
Yes.
like I'm not going, and then the pushed me, and I'm like, "Well, wait a minute, I didn't really jump off, I got pushed out of a plane." So
So
I
you
knew,
had to do it
next
again.
time I'm doing it, and so I remember telling him, looking back and being, "No, no, no, wait, I'm going to jump," and it was a slightly
Good for
different
you.
feeling. So, yeah, so it's funny that you say that. Moving away, I did the same thing too, so it's just
Yeah.
funny. I lived in Dubai for 10
Interesting.
years, 14 hours away from my family, and we're very
Wow.
like Italian close family, and
Yeah.
everyone's about 10 minutes from each other. So I definitely broke the rule there. But
Yeah.
yeah, and you have these experiences where you don't regret, right? Just
I
and they
think
make
it's
you are
they do. Yeah, you're finding your voice along the way, right? Like I remember
exactly.
my dad saying not long ago, like, I can remember being 17 like it was yesterday. And, he's going to be, that's 60 years ago for him. And I feel like I've started to hit that where I remember so much like it was yesterday. And it's really those moments where I choose to say yes to something because it's what I want and it's not going to hurt anybody else. It's just solidifies the confidence that you have to do things or say things or be in places where, sometimes your confidence is just knowing like I got myself, I'm good. Like I know I can do this, right?
I love that. So what is one thing that you want to say yes to? Have you thought about it?
No, I don't think I have something I want to say yes to.
Because there's a question I ask you, what's on your bucket list? And you can choose personal
Yeah.
or business in the immediate future and then like maybe 10 years from now. But I kind of like the way you framed it, saying yes to it.
I mean, I don't say no to many things. Like, honestly, I really don't. I want to say yes to all of it. Like, when if I'm asked to go travel, of course the answer is always going to be yes. Like if I had no barriers in terms of time or money or, God willing, my health continues to be okay. I want to say yes to all of it. I want to travel the world more and, I'm curious to see where my kids are going to end up because I just want to follow them around like a little puppy dog because I love them.
Where
But
do you want
I like, what's that?
or where do you want to travel next? Is there something on your
Next, I really wanna go to Paris. I really wanna go to Paris. So I keep incepting my husband to take my son. They wanna go to Japan. I wanna go to Japan too, but I'm like, "Okay, when Jackson finishes school, you go on a boys' trip with him, and then when Sophia finishes, it'll be around my 50th birthday, we'll go to Paris." So it's perfect. It's like meant to be. It's gonna be great.
uh,
So I envision traveling with my daughter somewhere next. And then as a family, like the kids are getting older. They've got significant others, whether, who knows what will happen down the road. But I know that's gonna be time that time is coming where they're not gonna wanna travel with us all the time. So I'd like to do one family trip again. We went to Italy 7
Mhm.
years ago, I guess, together, and that was amazing. So I'd love to go back to Europe and maybe go to England or I just wanna say yes to all of it. I wanna go everywhere. I wanna see all the things. I wanna see more of Canada. I've not seen a lot of Canada. So that's definitely on my list too.
I was just in south of France in November. Can I tell you I had to give in with those croissants the last few days. I'm like,
Really?
"Well, I'm leaving anyway. I did a breath work in Monaco. Yeah, I did a breath work session in Monaco.
Nice.
And after the last like 2, 3 days, I'm like, I'm trying every croissant and boucle whatever, all those like
Yes.
pâtisserie. And I brought with me, and I'll send it to you, this gluten enzyme, and you can get one for dairy as well. So it just helps you to break down the dairy
Yes,
and
please.
the gluten. So it wasn't as much, but also remember that they have better standards than we do here.
Yeah.
So their cows are not injected with hormones or antibiotics or all of that. So you
Yeah.
probably may not have the reaction that you do here. So yes, Paris.
That's good to see. Thank you. That would be great. Yes, that's on my list for sure.
Yes,
And yeah, I want to go
amazing.
do all the things.
Well, I can't wait and share on your social media too, so we can all come to you. So if you could have lunch, Maria, with any woman, past or present, who would it be and why?
Reese Witherspoon has probably been on my list of inspiring women for over a decade now. I love what she's done with Hello Sunshine and amplifying stories of women in the way that she knows, right? So I feel like what her and yeah, I'm just like Reese Witherspoon. I'm
Yes,
saying like
you
what
are. Yes, you
but
are.
no, I feel like we're on the same path in terms of being inspired by the women around us and wanting other people to see more of it. You know, she's in Hollywood and so she's done this beautiful job of, you know, I love seeing the movies and shows that she's made. And a lot of times they're from books that she's read because I'm a huge book nerd too. And so I just think she's done it in such a smart way. I'm just so in awe of how she does things. And she's always got really smart people around her helping her. So yeah, I think I would hit up Reese for some lunch. Yes.
Amazing. Let's manifest that. Why not?
Yes, let's do that. Why not?
You've
Put it out there.
already put it out there. It's already to connect with it. Yes.
Yes.
Speaking of books, is there a favorite book or a quote or a mantra that has proudly impacted your life?
I mentioned a quote before that's really stuck with me, which was life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. Again, that's just a lesson I've learned over time. I don't know where that's from actually, but I love it. I read more lately. I used to read a lot and then kind of lost that for a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if there's a specific book that's really like hit me.
That's okay. I love the
Yeah, I
mantra.
don't.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
I think well, and the only other one is, when I was little, my dad would always I used to always be like, "Why is family here all the time? Like, all we do is eat, and we're always around family." It used to be such a little pain, and I remember him saying, "Family is everything," and, I've kind of adapted that a little bit for now where it actually really is. It's like the is underlined now. Family actually really is everything. And whether that's your family that you choose, family that you're born into, having that circle with you for me, that's everything. Everything I do is fulfilling something for me and for my family. Like it's just that really is everything. So that's the only other thing I would say.
Beautiful. Thank you. So, if you could give yourself, your younger self, a piece of advice, what would it be? And you can choose the stage of life.
Stay curious. I feel like I feel like the older we get, we kinda lose that sometimes. We fall into our patterns.
Uh,
I feel like a little kid sometimes, a lot of the times, like, and even when I look at my daughter, I feel like I'm looking at a smaller version of me. Well, she's taller than me now, but yeah, I think just staying curious and don't lose that spark. Like, I've always had, like, this little, like, mischief in my eye, and
that's
I love
why
that.
we can get along. Do you have curly hair and you straighten it, by the way?
Yes, I do.
So, there's a saying in Italian, ogni riccio è un capriccio. So, every curl is a mischief.
Yeah. Yeah, but my hair doesn't curl anymore, so that's why I straighten it, but it's only if I'm in Italy or, like, somewhere really hot that
Yeah.
mine will never look as curly as yours. You have gorgeous hair.
Thank
My
you.
sister's is like yours.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I've never strained it. I've strained it maybe twice in my life. I didn't like
Wow.
it at all. I'm like, it's way too much work. You gotta
It's a
when the
lot of work.
curly Yeah, when it's curly, you just whatever, the curl does the thing, doesn't matter, but when it's straight, you gotta really make sure that it's, in
It's
place.
got to stay. Yes.
It's not me at all, right? So, yeah. So, Maria, what does success mean to you at this stage of your life and career?
Success means my kids are happy and healthy and kind people in the world, which I think they are. Success looks like, I still like being around my husband. He still likes being around me. We genuinely like being together.
How many
I'm
years?
really proud of that.
How many
20,
years? Wow.
20 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll be
that's great.
21 this year, actually.
Wow.
So yeah, like I feel like I took my time and I chose well because I am very fortunate to have him in my life. Success looks like scaling back and doing less, but achieving more at this point. That's what I would like to see. I'd like to be working smarter, not harder. I'm going to be 47 this year and I've lived a lot of life, but there's still so much to go. And, with everything in my career, it's been 16 years that I've been building this community and I am so thankful and grateful for it. But I'd like to be more intentional with what I'm doing so that I'm having a bigger impact without burning myself out.
Yes, yes. And I find that it comes with experience too. It's almost like we need to hustle and struggle and just kind of find our way. And then it does smoothen out. It really does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it. I'm hopeful for that.
Yeah. Amazing. So these are the fun rapid fire questions. Don't overthink them, whatever comes to you. And they're just a little fun way to wrap up because like you, I need it to be light. And I want to bring humor into this as well. So one word to describe you as a leader.
Persistent.
If your leadership style were a dance move, what would it be? And if you don't know the name, you can just kind of make it up or even show.
Probably the twist. I'll do the twist. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I'm always on the dance floor when that song comes on. I'm like, what? I love it. Morning person or night owl? I think I know the answer to this one.
I'm actually both. I'm weird. I'm both. But I'm happy in the morning. So I would say I'm a morning person, but I can stay up pretty late depending on what I'm doing. So I
Right.
can be both. Yeah.
Coffee, tea, or something else? And I think you answered this one too.
Yeah. Tea. So tea or hot chocolate.
Like
Good hot chocolate is it's like it just hits my soul. I love good hot chocolate.
with milk or water?
Almond milk.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Mountains or oceans?
Ocean for sure.
Pizza or pasta?
That is not fair. That's not a fair question.
Yesterday was like neither. I'm like, oh, okay.
What? Were they Italian?
No, no, they weren't.
Okay.
No, it's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm out of time." Like, "No, no, it's not that. I just thought everyone likes pasta."
Yeah. Okay, so with pizza, I can't have too much tomato or cheese, so I'm gonna say pasta because
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so if you were a kitchen appliance, which one would you be and why?
oh my goodness. I'd be a kettle. I'm looking at my kitchen right now. I'd probably be a kettle, pretty consistent until all of a sudden I'm like, I'm on, and then and then who knows what's gonna happen. Yeah, I'd be a kettle.
What's your oddly specific superpower if you have one? Like always finding the best parking spot or picking the best grocery or fastest grocery line?
Oh, I wish that was me. I never pick the right line. I have this really strange ability to remember faces from other experiences. So if we're watching something, I can be like, that's the extra that was in the movie from this, from
No.
20 years ago. I don't know. I have this weird, like, facial recognition. Yeah, that would be my weird superpower party trick. Yeah.
I love that. And if you could instantly master one new skill just like that, Maria, what would it be?
One new skill. I would probably not procrastinate. Is that a skill? Do you mean like learning how to rollerblade or something like that? No.
Or no, that's
Okay.
great. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
probably.
you can teach me. I need that fire to like get me going sometimes. When I'm doing it, I'm like a presentation or a speaking engagement. I'm like, Mom, why didn't I start a day earlier? Why? If I only had one more day, that was my thing in university. And I feel like I still have it with me.
I know. I think that would be me. And the only other thing is like, I would love to learn. I speak 5 languages. I would love to learn Mandarin. I actually think that would be cool. So
Okay, so
I
tell
had
me your
one more.
Italian.
Well, Italian, Spanish, English, French, and German.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Mandarin for sure. Put that on your list, girl.
Yeah. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
do it. So if you could gift every woman listening or watching one thing, tangible or not, think of Oprah, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. What would it be?
Rita, these are hard questions. What would it be? Aside from giving women more time, I feel like every woman could use more time for themselves,
Huge, yes.
like specifically for themselves. Like, I'm not giving you an extra hour in your day to, scrub more dishes or,
Hmm.
take your kids somewhere. Or I would give every woman an extra hour in the day just to actually tap back into who they are and what their likes and dislikes are and just like refine themselves. That's probably what I would do.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation. It's been emotional,
Yeah.
interesting, inspiring, motivating, and just so like it just shows your beautiful, authentic energy that is just radiating with you beyond your smile. So I just want to say thank you again for taking the time. I know you're super busy for talking to us and just
This
sharing
was fun.
tips. And I so value our friendship and I just want to stay in touch. So I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rita. I loved it. And I'm going to I'll make sure if we ever do this again next time, I'll have the tissues ready. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the Self Care Goddess podcast. If today's episode inspired you, share it with another woman who's ready to reclaim her vitality and lead from within. To continue your journey, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with me on ritasavoya.com. Until next time, remember self care isn't selfish, it's your superpower. Take a deep breath in, exhale, and keep rising. Ciao for now.